been engaged for the last 4 years. The president clearly understands America's interests around the world and has the courage to pursue and protect those interests. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a man who's not only earned my respect and all those who work with him and all of you, he's earned the respect of all the world leaders. Ladies and gentlemen,
that's horrible.
Commander-in-Chief not only knows how to lead America, but this Commander-in-Chief is leading the world. My dad would say this is a man with a steady hand and a clear vision. A man who leads not only by the example of our power, but by the power of America's example. This is a president who says what he means what he says, and does what he says. This is a man the world relies on and we rely on. And boy, was the contrast clear last night. It wasn't even close, was it? As the president pointed out last night, these debates have exposed that Governor Romney and Paul Ryan have a foreign policy right out of the 80s, a social policy out of the 50s, and an economic policy right out of the 20s. The differences in our policies, and I would submit to you in our values, are profound. And the American people, after 4 debates, know it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why last night you saw Governor Romney rushing to agree with the president on the
Thing in the way. Yeah, it is. You have to wait until he leans to the right.
Just like that.
Wait for him to get you gangster.
Look at it.
Okay, got it at the back of his head.
He tried to rewrite the history of his position on rescuing the automobile industry. Have you know? Whoa! If I only knew he was
I got a spoon rum.
Look, half the time, I didn't know whether Governor Romney was there to debate Barack Obama or endorse Barack Obama. Well, I have a message for the good governor. Governor, you can't run from the truth. You can't run from your record. You can't run from your policies. Look at his policies. Opposition to nuclear arms control agreements. Wanting to keep 30,000 troops in Iraq. Shredding regulations, which he commits to do. Letting Wall Street gamble with our money again. And letting banks write their own rules again. Proposing over $2 trillion in new tax cuts for the wealthy while raising taxes on the middle class. Folks, we have seen this movie before. And we know how it ends. It ends in a catastrophe for the middle class. It ends in the Great Recession of 2008. And the American people are not prepared to go back. This president is leveling the playing field. Getting the middle class back in the game. He knows how to build America from the middle out. That's how you build America. And that's his leadership. And the credit of the American people. America is coming back. There is no quit in America. American people know only one way forward. Only one way, and that is forward. Together, ladies and gentlemen, all of us, even the 47% of us that Romney doesn't think matter. Regardless, I've never met 2 guys who are more down on America. Every time they turn around, America's in decline. American people won't take responsibility. I don't know where they live, but it's not where we live. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of what our opponents say, what they try to paint. America is not in decline. Americans are not independent people. We are strong. We're independent. We take responsibility. And I've got news for Governor Romney and Congressman Ryan. It's never, ever been a good bet to bet against the American people. Welcoming my friend, our president.
Who knows more about foreign policy than my vice president. There's nobody who gives me better advice than my vice president. There's nobody who you'd rather have in a foxhole with you when it matters most than my vice president. There's nobody who cares more about the middle class and fights harder for America than my vice president.
Can y'all see?
That way. I just hear his voice. We're right in front of us.
I could not do what I do without him having my back.
I'm going with him.
So I want you to give him another big round of applause.
Can you see his face?
Huh? We're still going to have to keep going to the left, I think. I still can't see him.
Ohio. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today.
Whose head is that?
Americans all
Lord Jesus, I can't
will
see.
step in and vote. But here in Ohio, you can vote early. Here in Ohio, you can vote right after this event.
That's right.
If you want to know where to vote, you go to vote.barackobama.com. He already voted, and he's proud of it. Anybody who is here who has not yet voted, I want you to go vote. Because you've got a very big choice to make. Not just a choice between two candidates or two parties, but two different visions for this country that we love. Now, last night we had our third debate. I hope I made it clear that there's a big difference between me and Mitt Romney.
Yes, you
You mop the floor with it.
He's got better hair.
No, I don't.
The greatest responsibility I have as president is to keep the American people safe. That's why I ended the war in Iraq, so we could go after the terrorists who actually attacked us on 9/11.
Yeah!
That's why working with Joe Biden and our national security team, we've been able to decimate Al-Qaeda. That's why we're able to bring Osama bin Laden to justice. That's why we're now ending the war in Iraq, because after a decade of war, it's time to do some nation building right here in Ohio. Do some nation building here in the United States of America. In a world of new threats and challenges, America needs leadership that is strong and steady. Unfortunately, Governor Romney's foreign policy has been wrong and reckless. You heard him last night, he was all over the map. During the debate, he said he didn't want more troops in Iraq. But he was caught on a video just a few months ago saying it was unthinkable not to leave 20,000 troops in Iraq. Those troops would still be there today instead of back home. Last night he claimed to support my plan to end the war in Afghanistan. But he opposed a timeline that would actually bring the rest of our troops home.
Thanks.
Last night he said taking out bin Laden was the right thing to do. Back in 2007, he said it wasn't worth moving heaven and earth to catch one man. Now, I recognize that we must have some doctors in the house, because I've already heard people identify this condition. It's called amnesia.
got it.
Stand right, stand.
Thank you, thank you.
Case breaking out last night. So I'm going to go over the symptoms with you.
I appreciate it.
Don't want anybody to catch it here in Ohio. If you talk about how much you love teachers during a debate, but just a few weeks ago you said we shouldn't hire anymore because it won't grow our economy, you might have amnesia. If you say you won't give a big tax cut to the wealthy, but you're on a video promising your tax cut would include the top 1%, that sounds like a classic case of amnesia. If you say that you love American cars during a debate, you're a car guy, but you wrote an article titled "Let Detroit Go Bankrupt," you definitely have a case of amnesia. Now, last night, Governor Romney looked you right in the eye, looked me in the eye, tried to pretend that he never said "Let Detroit go bankrupt." Tried to pretend he meant the same thing I did when we intervened and worked to make sure that management and workers got together to save the U.S. auto industry. Pretended like somehow I had taken his advice. The people don't forget.
No, we don't
People of
forget.
Dayton don't forget.
No!
Ohio don't forget. If Mitt Romney had been president when the auto industry was on the verge of collapse, we might not have an American auto industry today. We'd be buying cars from China instead of selling cars to China. And you know how important that is.